Japan's leadership is on the brink of a major shift. And you know what that means? The rules for its high-stakes real estate game could be totally rewritten. So in this explainer, we're going to break down what each potential new leader could mean for one of the country's most vital sectors.
Look, the upcoming LDP presidential election is about way more than just politics. It could fundamentally change the game for homeowners and investors. The winner is going to set the tone for everything, from the price of land in Tokyo to who's even allowed to buy it. So let's meet the people at the center of all this, shall we? All right, first things first, let's get to know the 5 key players in this race. Now, they're all from the same party, so you might think they'd be on the same page, but their visions for Japan's economy are actually surprisingly different, and those differences could create some major ripple effects in the property market. So here they are, the contenders whose economic plans are really under the microscope. You've got a mix of former ministers like Takaichi and Takayuki Kobayashi, some current government figures like Yoshimasa Hayashi and Koizumi, and then you have the former Secretary General, Motegi. It's a real slate of insiders, but as we're about to see, their ideas on real estate are anything but uniform. So, how exactly are these candidates planning to deal with the property market? Well, this is where it gets fascinating. Almost none of them have policies that are specifically about real estate. Nope. To figure out their plans, you really have to dig into their much bigger, broader economic strategies for the whole country. And you can really see their different philosophies in action here. Takaichi, for example, she wants to completely overhaul subsidies, which could potentially cool down some of that overheated investment. On the other hand, you've got Kobayashi and Motegi, who are all about public investment. That could spur development, sure, but it could also drive up prices. Then there are Hayashi and Koizumi, kind of coming at it from the other direction, trying to ease the housing burden with things like tax reforms and wage hikes. So when you step back and look at all these different plans together, a really clear pattern starts to emerge. For almost everyone, the #1 priority is overall economic growth, not trying to control a potential housing bubble. Now, that could definitely give the market a boost, but it comes with a huge risk. It does very little to stop land prices from soaring, which just makes housing in the cities even more expensive for regular people. Okay, so those domestic policies are more of an indirect thing, but there is one topic where the candidates are being very direct and very, very divided, and that's the super contentious question of foreign ownership of Japanese land. Seriously, this single issue has blown up into a major flashpoint. It touches on everything, from these deep-seated concerns about national security to the simple economic pragmatism of welcoming foreign money. And as you can probably guess, the candidates are all over the map on this one. Takaichi has definitely taken the most hardline stance. She's framing this whole thing as a matter of national security and reciprocity. Basically, her logic is, if Japanese citizens can't buy land in your country, then your citizens shouldn't be able to buy land in Japan. It's a position that's getting a lot of traction with more conservative groups. And these two candidates really show you the two extremes of the debate. On one end, you have Takaichi with her security-first approach, pushing for active regulation. And then all the way on the other end, you have Motegi. He's arguing for a more pragmatic approach that tries to balance security with the economic upsides of foreign investment. You know, things like tax revenue and new jobs. And here's how everyone else kind of fits into that spectrum. Right there next to Takaichi, you've got Takayuki Kobayashi. He also wants to beef up regulations, mostly from an economic security angle. Koizumi is a little more limited, saying we should just focus on security-sensitive areas. Yoshimasa Hayashi has been playing it more neutral and cautious, probably thinking about the diplomatic side of things. And like we said, Motegi is on the far other end, pushing for better management instead of just strict rules. Okay, so we've looked at the domestic policies and we've dived into that heated foreign investment debate. What's the big picture here? If you're someone watching Japan's real estate market, whether you're an investor or you're just curious, what does all this actually mean for you? Well, the big trend is pretty obvious. There's a clear preference for economic growth, even if that means risking higher land prices. And while domestic policies will have an impact, the biggest, most immediate changes are almost certainly going to be around foreign buyers. Oh, and no matter who wins, you can probably bet on some short-term market jitters as investors try to figure out the new leadership. At the end of the day, it all boils down to this one question. You have this fundamental tension between wanting a booming market and needing stable, affordable housing. That's the real heart of this whole debate. And the path Japan's next leader decides to take, well, that's going to define the country's property market for years to come.